afternoon. Thank you for having me. The lunch was great. I'm here to basically tell you a little bit about Quilts of Valor. I'm sure many of you have seen me here before, so I'm going to make all my speeches all rolled into one big speech so that you can have your dessert. Anyhow, one of the things that we do is we give quilts to veterans. Before I actually read most of the stuff, I want to read something that's called, "It is a Veteran." It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us the freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us the freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble and the right to demonstrate. It is the veteran, not the police, who have given us the right to secure our persons. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag. It is the veteran who serves under the flag, who gave his or her oath to support and defend the Constitution and our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is the veteran willing to give his or her life to protect your freedoms and mine, whose casket will be covered by the flag. May God bless all of our veterans all over the world. In 2003, a lady by the name of Catherine Roberts had a son that was deployed. She was obviously having a hard time sleeping. I'm going to make this story go, like I say, a big short story. Anyhow, one of the things that she did was when she went to sleep, she said that she ended up dreaming that Nate was sitting on a log. He was despondent. As a mother or any person who has had somebody from their family deployed, she was also upset. In her dream, she's walking through the woods of Afghanistan, and she finds him. So she wants to console him. What do you do to console somebody? You give him a hug. But as magical dreams are, she had a blanket with her. She wrapped that blanket around him, and she gave him a great big hug. She woke up feeling much better. She felt that, okay, this is my job. I know how I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping others, helping the military. She also knew that she left him feeling much better than the depressed she thought he was. So Catherine got together with her lady friends. They started to make quilts because that's what they did in their spare time. They went to Walter Reed Army Hospital with a half a dozen quilts and said to the chaplain, would you give these out? We want to comfort the soldiers. And he said, well, it's a big facility and I've only got a half a dozen quilts. And they said, mother's intuition. You know how all of you mothers always have that intuition that what I know is right. So what they did was they talked him into it. He came back the next day and said how many and how fast. We now have over 6,000 groups all over the United States and Australia and Hawaii and Alaska who are making quilts, and we are making sure that we cover all veterans, all military personnel who have been, what our philosophy is, touched by war. I want to take a minute to read to you what touched by war really means. The mission of Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing Quilts of Valor. Quilts of Valor's original mission was to cover service members and veterans wounded physically or psychologically with comforting and healing Quilts of Valor. No one really liked the word psychologically, and U.S. Army Chaplain John Callerson suggested using touched by war. The foundation's original focus was on the young service members because Catherine's son was deployed during the Afghan war. The foundation, recalls the light of inclusiveness that she experienced at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Traveling Wall in 2009. Catherine's group planned to award Quilts of Valor to the OIF and OEF veterans, but none were present. Patriot Guard veterans were there to ride past the wall on their motorcycles, and they received them instead. Catherine recalls that the Vietnam vets said over and over, ma'am, this is the first time in 40 years, now 50 years, that anyone has ever thanked me for my service. From then on, any warrior who has been touched by war, no matter when his or her service, could receive a Quilt of Valor. No questions asked. Some in our community regret the removal of the word combat. Others welcome the change as it provides a way to recognize and honor any service member or veteran who has taken the oath of enlistment, vowing that he or she will lay down his or her life for our country and our freedoms. The signer promises to defend against enemies of foreign and domestic. These Americans vow to give their lives for you and me, no questions asked. We cannot judge what being touched by war means to a veteran. It is different for each depending on where they served. A nurse at Landstuhl Air Force Base, Walter Reed, Topeka, Kansas. A nurse or medic at Dover preparing remains for burial. A general serving in the Pentagon, an infantry soldier serving in a war zone or a humanitarian effort, or down the street at a local armory, or anyone who serves or works with their veterans councils or works with their veterans organizations. As we award these Quilts of Valor, that do so not with judgment, but with trust. Trust that these veterans have been touched by war. Those who wear or have worn the uniform are without question the most profoundly effective. What started in 2003 with a few quilts now has risen to 291,505 quilts as of last week when I printed this. I'm sure it was more today. May we continue to cover as many as we can. Thank you for being here to honor all of our deserving veterans. And today we will honor a special veteran. I also want to tell you that one of the things that we do is we give quilts on trust. You don't have to have had a special job. You don't have to have been in a special war theater. You do not have to have been overseas. Touched by war means just what it says, touched by war. No one can know what a quilt will do for that. It is given basically because of the fact that we want to comfort, honor, and show love. We want that quilt to resemble that hug that Catherine thought she gave her son. We want that quilt to represent the fact that someone is always thinking about you, that someone is always working for the fact of making another quilt to give to another veteran. All the quilts are unique. They may look alike in certain styles, but at the same time, no two quilts are different, are the same. They are all different. One of the things that we also do with the quilts is, as I started to say, Catherine's son was deployed, and that's when we did, was at the beginning, we sent the quilts overseas. I also have here a pillowcase, which you and I look at and know as a pillowcase. One of the things we were told was that when we shipped quilts overseas, we had to keep them in some kind of a presentation bag. So that's what this was called at the time. At the time, some of the quilts were put into helicopters. The veteran was picked up in the field. He was wrapped in the quilt. It followed him to the base hospital, to the field hospital, on to Germany or wherever until he came home. It kept him warm. And the thing is that helicopters don't have doors, so that's where the documents went. It kept his or her documents with him. So I ask that when we give the quilt out, we give out a presentation case or a pillowcase. At the same time, we ask that the veteran who receives the quilt uses the quilt. We don't want to have you put it in a box and put it away for another special time. We want you to use it. We don't want you to hang it on a wall. When you have your coffee or your drink or your soup, or you're really cuddling up with the dog and he gets some hair on it, that's okay, because the quilts are 100% cotton. You throw them in the washing machine, you put them in the dryer, or on nice warm days you hang it outside, and each time you wash it, it crumples up and becomes more like the quilt that grandma or mom or auntie made for you. So please, whatever veterans get a quilt or you have a quilt, please use the quilt. We don't want to know that you put it away. We want that you to experience that hug every time you use it. Today's veteran doesn't know that he is getting a quilt. Excuse me. And one of the things I was told was that he is like the Energizer Bunny and can really, really help anybody who is in trouble. Comes off a little strict and stern, but once you get to know him, he melts. So, first I want to show you the quilt. Andy, would you help me? There we go. Now, can I have, you ready? No, we'll have him come up here. He can't? Okay. We'll get him here, Andy. Okay, how about Mr. Robert Sylvester? Will you please come join us? Meet him. You get him up? You know what, Andy, push the chair back to the table. There we go. Here he comes.
I'm coming. Hey, Andy, what are you doing?
I don't know.
We had to get you out here for a nice little surprise.
That was a long walk.
I know, but see, they told me you were like the Energizer Bunny and you could help everybody when somebody asks for help. So we want to make sure that you come over here and stand in front of the quilt for a minute for us so people can take pictures. Okay, Andy, go ahead, push over.
I gotta sit down.
Oh, you gotta sit down?
I
Good.
got- That's
Oh, that's
that's
absolutely
what they
fine.
say, that's
That's
a
fine.
Cadillac.
That's fine.
I just got this the other day. And I gotta find a way of putting the brake on.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh,
Oh, now, how do you feel now? Good?
there we go.
All right, fold this in half and you just hold it, pull it in the middle. Now, pull it in the middle on the side here.
This,
That's it.
this.
Now, this way. Okay?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're all set. No. Okay, just pick up the top.
It's easier to
There
keep
we
a secret
go.
from you when you're not here all the time.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Andy,
Yes, sir.
the last time you surprised us with Rick. Remember?
I remember.
And you have to do this.
So remember
Oh.
now, this is a quilt. We're wrapping you in this quilt to give you a great big hug like Catherine gave her son.
Well, I use this all the time.
And we want you to use it. And remember that it's got a whole bunch of different blocks in it. So every time you get to use it, I don't know, 25, 30 ladies are giving you a hug. How's that going to feel?
Oh, I like hugs.
There is the pillowcase that you can use if you decide you don't want to use the quilt on a specific day. But I also have something else for you here. Robert Sylvester, United States Army. Today is December 14th, 2021. The Quilts of Valor Foundation wishes to recognize you for your service to our nation. We consider it our privilege to do so, though we may never know the extent of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America. We award you this Quilt of Valor as an expression of gratitude from a grateful nation. It's signed by Lori Thompson, the Executive Director, and myself, Teresa Peralta, the Massachusetts State Coordinator. And I want to say thank you and welcome home.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I don't know what to say. You know, all my life, I try to help people. And I think I've done a good job. Thank you.
You don't need to do that. Thank you very much, Andy, and thank you very much, Bob. Is it Bob or Robert?
Bob.
Okay, Bob. So now you're sitting down. We can drive you back to the end of the room where you can feel more comfortable. But please remember that everybody in this room says thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank Yeah, but she's not a very good driver.
That's okay.
Get aside.
It's locked, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta unlock it.
We can put it on its own.
Whoop. You got the brake off.
Yeah, hang on, don't run away yet. My
I
goodness,
got it.
Energizer Bunny, huh?
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Got it started?
Go slow. I don't trust you to drive.
I know you don't trust me.
When I drive. Go slow, go slow. Thank you anyhow. I want you to understand that we are very, very happy to make sure we cover all the bases. You know,
Hi there, oh, Karen.
Guido.
You can contact